Hello, aloha. Lovely to see you all. I'm Pulelehua. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii, Contemplative Outreach, Hawaii. I'm on the island of Oahu, the Kanaka Maoli of this land. We give gratitude for the people here. I live in the Pu'aha of Waimanalo. I'm in an area of Hawaii Kai. Anyways, we give gratitude to that, to all the lands, the Aina that supports us, this land that supports us, the Kai, the ocean that surrounds us here. And we give gratitude. Before we start with anything, we're grateful for where we are. You are wherever you are in the world. And I love it. As you turn your cameras on, it really makes me so happy. And you're welcome to leave them off if you want, but I just love it when I see you. Wherever you are connected to the land in your place, in your space. You are connected to the air around you and everything that is about you. You are connected, all of you. And we come here in this room. I love Zoom rooms because I get to see you and look in your eyes. We come here in this room that is made up of all of these places where all of us are. And we have a special room that allows us all to come together. And I'm grateful for this too. So it's to start off with, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are, where we're from, and we'll go into a welcoming prayer practice, a moving welcoming prayer practice, and then we'll have some little reading and centering prayer. But in this moment, I'm going to chat a little bit. So if you feel like it, in the chat, if you can find the chat on your screen, it might be at the bottom, it might be under a little things at the top if you're on a phone or a tablet. If you can go to the chat and you want to put in something you're grateful for, just to help you embody that gratitude, that moment of connection. For those of you who were here for this last fabulous session from our young contemplatives, they shared a great video from Father Keating, and it would really just brought me back into this place. So if you feel like sharing a little bit of where you are or who you are in the chat, be my guest if that's distracting. I'm grateful for Colleen, and who had the statistics and information about people being incarcerated. We're remembering Kevin from Florida, and for the people who don't have connectivity for whatever reason and can't be here because this is more than they have. They don't have a phone. They don't have any way to connect in. It's a particular, if people are incarcerated, they are restricted. And there are other people in our world that are restricted because of poverty, because of oppression, because of various things. And we're going to hold all of them in your space, wherever you are in the world. Right now, in this space and in this place and in this time. And we breathe into the body, these beings with us in this place and space, sharing the breath of the divine indwelling, that presence, knowing that we're here. Contemplative Outreach Hawaii, we have online groups, we have hybrid groups, we have in-person groups. If you're in the islands, come join us. If you want to join us online, I will put the website in the chat, and you're welcome to join us online. We have a once a month fabulous online on Zoom, the first Saturday of the month Hawaii time is a time where we have different leaders from all over the islands, and we might do Visio Divina, where we put up an image. We might do Lexio, where we do a reading. We might go out in nature and do Terra Divina, where we're walking in nature and connecting to the world around us as part of our contemplative practice. We might do Physio, where we move around in this embodied, what we're going to be doing today. Where we can take in the divine indwelling and do our contemplative practices in more than one way. Sitting in stillness and in quiet is so fabulous, and this is what we do, and this is our anchor. And what we do is we have another practice that goes along with the anchor. So a complementary practice, like the welcoming prayer, the forgiveness prayer, a complementary practice, so that you're not taking away from your centering prayer time. You're adding on to the deliciousness of being in this presence. In the last video we just heard, Keating talked a lot about how the people who come to the wedding, it's coming to the feast. We're coming to the feast. And that everybody can come to the feast. And that we're all welcome to come to the feast, no matter who we are, anywhere in the world. And I think of that in the context of my body too. So we're going to do a welcoming prayer practice. And if you're not familiar with welcoming prayer, I'm going to give you a little overview. We'll do a little slide. But it's an embodied practice, and it's designed to be done in the moments of everyday life. When Keating talked about all of these things are about ordinary life, where we are, ordinary people in what we do, and being able to bring our practices there in these moments. And a practice that can be done in just a minute. But we're going to take some time to really go into the welcoming prayer and experience it, because the hardest part of the welcoming prayer for me is this temple of light of the divine indwelling presence. Hardest for me is to accept that this is okay, that my body itself, what it's doing, where it's going, that it's okay. That's hard. And so to help bring myself into this place, listening to things like Father Keating's recent talk, or just taking a moment. So before I center, I do the welcoming prayer, because I'm a mover and I'll sit down to center and forget I'm centering and get up and walk across the room or pick up my phone or do something else. So I find if I do an embodied practice first, it really helps get me there and has me stay there. When I first started the welcoming prayer, I did it because I had a son. And 8 years ago now, he died, a young man, a young adult. Wonderful person, loving. I learned a million things about him at his memorials, about how good he was and how much he helped people and brought them in and supported them, things I never knew. Wonderful man, and he left. And I was phenomenally sad, sad to the point of I don't want to be here anymore. And perhaps you have had a similar experience in your life. Most of us, once we get to a certain vintage, we've had these. And it was hard to come out of it and be okay. It was hard. I didn't feel connected to the divine anymore. God was like, I don't know where God was, but I was in my dark night of the soul, and I didn't know how to get out of it. And I'd been exposed to the welcoming prayer, and I'd done centering prayer off and on for years. But when I was grieving, the welcoming prayer became an embodied prayer, so I move with it now, because the grief is in my body. I never want to forget that I love my son and then I have that grief. I don't ever want that feeling to leave my body, but I would be okay if it were sometimes not primary. And I can never change that my son died, and I can never change that feeling in me, but I can learn to welcome it and be with it, to be okay. Sometimes it becomes overwhelming, but usually I can just live with the grief and I am okay, because I know it's part of the consenting to the divine indwelling. So with the welcoming prayer, it has 3 movements. The first movement of the welcoming prayer is to feel and sink into the body. The second movement is to welcome. Welcome the feeling you're having in your body as an opportunity to consent to the divine indwelling presence. And the third movement is to let go. I let go of my desire for security, affection, control, and embrace this moment as it is. The welcoming prayer. The 3 movements. So the hardest movement for me is that first one, to feel and sink into the body. Something happens, I don't want to. So we're going to practice by doing a body scan. Come up to the top. If you want to stand and do the standing and moving, be my guest. If you want to do it laying down with your eyes closed, anything in between, in your chair, whatever you want, or imagine in your imagination. It's a completely perfect, whatever you works for you. So we're coming to the top of our head and we're feeling. What are the feelings and sensation? What about your forehead? Maybe wiggle your face a bit to feel and sink in. Where am I? Try your cheeks. Imagine that. And you internal focus or moving with your hands in your body. The neck, miraculous neck and throat. The back of your head. Is it tight? What's the temperature in the room you're in? What are the sounds around you? Is there weather you can hear? Come to your shoulders. You bring your shoulders up to your ears and let them relax in any way that works best for you. If you feel inspired and you want to move your shoulders around, it helps you to feel the connection between the body and the shoulders so that we can sense where our body really is. Where are we in this space? And we have arms, miraculous arms that have biceps and triceps, upper arms that are strong, and then we have this miraculous elbow which really allows us to do some amazing things. And we feel and sink into the triceps and biceps, the wrists and the hands. And coming back into the torso, the body, the upper body, feeling the breath come in. When the breath comes in, what moves? And I like this. People are doing this however they want to do it in their own way, and that is so perfect. Breathing. Can you feel your rib cage move, or the diaphragm, or your back, the sides? What moves when you breathe? Notice. This is your temple of divine light. The divine indwelling presence is in you now. And the breath to me is a wonderful symbol of that. The heart. Do you feel the rhythm of the heart? Can you feel it in your pulse, in the body? You have a spine. You could wiggle your spine, connecting from the back of your head to your tail. And it's little spaces between those vertebrae where I think, we can imagine God living in all of us. God is us. We are God. God is existence. We are part of the whole. God is all of existence, which means we are part of God. And I like to think of those spaces between where the synovial fluid flows as a way that we can sense the divine indwelling presence in us. And we come to the na'au in the Olela Hawaii. This is about the place where the feelings, the emotions are sensed. In this part of the body, in the center where your tummy and your abdomen and all that delicious parts of you are. And think about that. Think about your belly. And what are your thoughts about your belly? And, we're there to just notice. This is all about noticing. And we come down to the place that you sit on, noticing. And we have our legs, we have joints, we have our feet connect to the ankles and the knees and the hips. And when we bend any of them, if you're standing, if you bend from the ankle and the knee and the hip, you'll be able to sense that leg and that foot in a way that you can tell what's going on physically. For me, I need to move to do this. I'm really good at being numb. So this wiggling around helps. So now taking your internal focus, come from the bottoms of your feet to the top of your head in your own time, noticing the light, noticing whatever you notice, and see if there's a place in your body that is calling to you, to bring attention to, not necessarily to change. It might be pain, it might be discomfort, it might just be, gee, I just sense that. No need to label it, or when you notice it, it may change it, but notice it. And take your attention to that spot, wherever it is. Feel and sink into it. Notice it. And welcome. This is the second movement. We welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And it's fun to say it out loud. It might be something that works for you in your space. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And maybe slowly, welcome, welcome, welcome. Is there another place in your body that you feel and you can sense something that's calling your attention? Welcome. And the next movement, the third movement, is to let go. I let go of the desire for security, affection, control, and embrace this moment as it is. I let go of the desire for security, affection, control, and embrace this moment as it is. So we know that we need security and affection and control. We know that we need these things, and this does not say we don't need them. We're letting go of the desire that takes us into the false self, that separates us from the true self. We let go of that desire that makes security mean more than all else, become larger than affection or control. And so we let go of the desire and hold the space of letting go, surrendering. Now take your body and, if you're willing, wiggle your spine. Or imagine your spine wiggling. You don't actually have to move if it's more. But if we move just a little tiny bit in the body, and you notice. That's my technique for feeling and sinking into the body. When I'm in a moment, so welcoming prayer is designed to be done in a moment of everyday life. So something big happens that startles you, and you know that you're responding larger, more enthusiastically than might be appropriate for what's actually going on at the time. People talk about being glimmered or triggered, but whatever that might be, you find and so the welcoming prayer is a great tool to use in those circumstances to feel and sink into the body, notice it, and I wheedle because that helps me remember the body scan and get back to this. You might have another clue, or maybe you're just really good and you can just go to this, which is fabulous if you can. And so we feel and sink into the body. You notice where you're feeling it. So you might say, oh, I'm feeling it there. That means I'm afraid. Or, oh, I'm feeling it here. Gee, that means I'm mad. Or here, I'm feeling it here. I don't know what that is. But so that you feel and sink into the body, because when you feel and sink into the body, you can tap into that divine indwelling presence. Welcome what you're feeling as an opportunity to consent to the divine indwelling and to let go. Just in that much time. So I'm going to put up the screen. I'm going to give you an experience from just everyday life that happened to me recently. That's a welcoming prayer moment for me. I've been having ongoing health issues and, provides challenges. And one of the challenges recently was I was tired all the time. I couldn't get up and do anything. I would get up, I'd do a little something, and I'd be asleep again. And it happened a lot. And I'm someone who, being active makes me more comfortable. I have a fair amount of pain if I'm not active, but I was too tired. And so I was at this place where I was really resentful of that I was sleeping all the time. I'm missing FOMO, a fear of missing out. I didn't get to be with the people I loved. And so I was upset and it wasn't helping. So finally, in one of my practices before centering prayer, in the welcoming prayer practice, I recognized I should welcome how tired I am. I know I do this practice all the time, but for whatever reason, it hadn't come up, resistance. And so I did. I welcomed how tired I am. As a result of welcoming how tired I am, it changed by being noticed in that I could let go of how tightly I was holding on to my idea of what it was to be holding on to this, of what it was to have this going on in my life. So it allowed me to then, every time I noticed myself having to sleep, instead of getting upset, when I'd wake up and have missed something, I did the welcoming prayer. And it's really helping me feel more okay with. Now, I'm not welcoming that which caused me to be exhausted. I'm not welcoming disease or dysfunction or depression or whatever it is. I am welcoming the feeling that actually exists in my body. That feeling in the body as it is. And that's the welcoming prayer practice. So now I want you to think of a time in your life, something recently that came up that you were definitely being snarky about. You weren't being polite to the people around you, or maybe you have another way of looking at it. That's the way I always identify with it. I can tell I need the welcoming prayer when I'm not myself. And I'm going to put up the welcoming prayer and allow you to take 3 minutes